Let's call the meeting to order. This is Mark Bleckman, Chair of the Newbury Human Resources Board. Let me confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Diane Doyle.
Here.
John Lucy.
Here.
John Ferrara.
He's muted.
Johnny, you're muted, I believe. There we go. Thank you. Tony Antico.
Here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Town Administrator Tracy Blaze.
Here.
Thank you. I don't believe there's anyone else expected to speak at the meeting. Let me move forward. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Newbury Human Resources Board is being conducted virtually, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, and the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not, however, ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not require public comment as it is not a public hearing. For this meeting, the Newbury HR Board is convening by Zoom meeting link as posted on the agenda of the town's website. All of the materials for this meeting, except any executive session materials, are available on the website, and we recommend the members and the public follow the agenda as posted on the website. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. I think we can dispense with that, given that there are just the 6 of us here on the call. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you, and be sure to state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in dialogue with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. And with that, let me turn to the first order of business, which is to approve the meeting minutes from the December 28th meeting. Diane, thank you for providing this for the board in advance. Has everyone had the opportunity to read through the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. Given that, is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Before we vote, any discussion on the minutes? With that, let me take a roll call vote. Diane Doyle,
Yes.
Tony Antico,
Yes.
John Ferrara,
Yes.
John Lucy,
Yes.
Mark Bleckman, yes. Thank you. Next order of business, employee issues. Nothing is hit my email. I'm not aware of anything. I would ask either, well, let me ask Diane first. Any employee issues that you're aware of?
No.
Thank you. Chief Lucy, any issues that you were aware of?
No.
Thank you. The next order of business on the agenda is personnel actions and job vacancies. Diane, what do you have to report there?
I know that you signed a few things. We've had one new dispatcher join that John had mentioned in his previous meeting. We have had the program coordinator hired, Karen Spangler at the Council on Aging. She
Right.
also started in December. I know that there were 3 open positions, and Tracy could speak to this as well. We had the administrative assistant position for the Building Inspection Conservation Department that's now been filled. The IT administrator, which I believe is still open. And the van driver, which we had discussed for the Council on Aging, has been hired as well.
Right, right.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yep.
talked about wanting to make sure that we had a fail-safe option there, even though the van wasn't perhaps in as great a use as had been pre-COVID, but I think it is still being utilized on a monthly basis. So it's nice to have that position filled. Thank you.
Yes, and he completed his paperwork. My understanding, Tracy, is that he is going to be going through some training, but comes with a specific license that he should be able to get to work pretty quickly.
Tracy, are you muted there or were you just nodding? I'm sorry.
No, I was just
Yeah,
not.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you said anything. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Diane, anything else to report on your end?
that's all I have.
Okay, before we get to Tracy, who's asked for some time in the meeting, let me turn to Chief Lucy to see if there's anything that we should be aware of in terms of job vacancies at the PD.
No, we're good.
Everything is copacetic.
Very good.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, let me turn it over to Town Administrator Blaze, who wanted some time to speak to us about where she is in the process of hiring.
Yeah, well, it was actually good timing. That was a good segue, Diane. We have had a tremendous amount of turnover as of late. 3 positions in the COA, 2 in inspectional services, the IT director, conservation agent, select board executive administrator. So with this turnover, some of them were scheduled retirements. Some of them were the result of individuals advancing their careers and to the next level. And then others were what I called COVID-induced retirements, so to speak. They got to a certain point and said, yeah, I'm just checking out. The police chief, the executive administrator. I think a lot of people who were close to retiring just took advantage of the climate and decided to go a little early.
Mhm.
So I think Newbury has been very fortunate that we were able to employ some long serving loyal staff members, individual who over a period of time grew into their positions. Both a blessing and a curse in some respects. We're blessed with excellent employees who possessed a tremendous amount of institutional memory, but now we're cursed with having to replace them by going into a competitive market. So I think all organizations do face those challenges from time to time, and with those challenges come with the costs. We're seeing that now. The good news is that the compensation system that you designed for us has served us really well and continues to be a great tool when faced with the new hirings. I've found, however, that as the personnel change, there's a need for us to really take a hard look at the job descriptions and reclassify the positions, as many of the duties and responsibilities have changed as well as their roles expand. So I'm going to ask you to consider reclassifying the IT manager position, and there was another request for some library positions for reclassification. If there's any possibility of doing it this week, I would greatly appreciate it, in particular the IT manager's position. But in closing, just want to thank you all for the guidance that you've provided and that you continue to provide. I don't think I've ever taken up so much of your time as I have this past year with all the new hires, but I'm really grateful to have you to work through these changes with me.
Thank you, Tracy. Well, just thinking back, it feels like, periodically there's a request to review job descriptions to see how, if at all, they may change within the classification system. And that's appropriate. Some of these positions probably haven't been reviewed for some period of time. And it's important, as we've always talked about, to make sure everything is updated, everything is modernized, and most importantly, that the duties, responsibilities, functionality of these roles is consistent with how you and the rest of leadership sees these positions fitting into the overall mechanics of the town of Newbury. And so, as we've always been, happy to review job descriptions, see how, if at all, that changes within the classification, and guide you from there. So let me open it up to other members of the HR board to share their thoughts on it. Diane, I'll start with you.
You had to start with me.
I don't have to. If you prefer, I can start.
I haven't had a chance to gather my thoughts. I'm late to the meeting as it is.
Okay. No
Maybe
problem.
go to someone else and give me a minute to think about it.
All right, John Ferrara, how about you?
Just the observation of townships, I'm guessing from the Atlantic Ocean to the Berkshires, going through a lot of organic change. And that was the first comment I was going to make before Tracy brought it up, is the level of resignation is extraordinary. And we've seen it in our own offices, in my own company. And 5 very important members of a strong team just taking the opportunity to depart. Life's changed for them. They've discovered things they had not before, and there have to be. I mean, when you consider the right word, the exodus from Boston, all the new families moving into the Newbury area, in the local area, there have to be some champion employees available. And I guess the point is where do we go to advertise for those positions? How do we do that?
Well, the most recent ones we always go to the Beacon, which is the municipal publication in Massachusetts that most people seeking municipal employment know that that's where they should go. But we also do advertising in our local publications, the Newburyport Daily News, which has, is it monster.com? They have significant distribution, and they also do their help wanted advertisements go throughout the North Shore as well as in the Merrimack Valley. So, but
one of the considerations is that we ask the people who are exiting the firm, the agency, to scout and to help identify possible people in their circle of friends, with competitors, with associations that might fill their jobs. And 3 of the 5 were filled in that manner. Literally asking those departing to reach down and to come up with some requests and interviews. And then you typically get somebody who's beautifully vetted and culturally already in the right frame. I mean, obviously, when Mike left, he left for good personal reasons, but we already had 2 tremendous successors in the queue. That's not true with all agencies and all departments.
Right. Thank you, John. Tony?
One of the qualities of a good company, municipality, whatever, is certainly not just recruiting. I think there should be as equal, or if not greater, emphasis on retention. And I don't know if any of these people who are planning to leave had difficulties in one area where that retention possibility could possibly have come out differently or whatever. But I think when that retention efforts begins when someone is initially interviewed, for the position.
Mhm.
Is this the kind of person we really want here? And then the person asks questions about specific job duties. So all of these things interface, but not just with IT people, but all people. Is this going to be someone we actively will seek to retain? So that's my comment on that.
Thank you, Tony. Chief Lucy?
First of all, thank you for those sentiments, John. I appreciate that. The only question I had kind of goes from a different angle from Tracy's workload on making this happen. What do we have in place to help facilitate the process of vetting out the applicants? That's going to be very, very burdensome, especially when the resources that you're trying to backfill are the ones you're trying to, you'd be depending on to help you fill. So it's do you have enough resources, help you need to weed through the candidates, to vet them out, to to find the right persons for these individual jobs. And I would just float it out there that that's something we might, as a board, want to start thinking about what we can do to help with that, to alleviate some of that, because not only are you trying to find to fill these vacancies, you're trying to do your main job of running the town. So you've got a lot on your plate. So whatever you need from us to alleviate that.
Yeah. Tracy, when you take your feet off the desk because you don't have that much. Thank you, John. In all seriousness, that's something that we probably haven't talked about recently. It's something that I know that Tracy's aware of, as Chief Lucy's aware of it, and Diane as well, of course. And that is that this board is always available, interested, and ready to help in any way possible. We don't often get called in, by a department manager, in this case, perhaps by Tracy herself, related to, as John just said, vetting resumes, helping through the interview process, whatever it may be from start to finish. Please, I speak to all of you in town government, don't ever hesitate to call on this board to help with anything that might help facilitate the timeliness of the hire. That said, I would certainly agree with all the points that have been made so far. We have been, as Tracy said earlier, we have been blessed. There's been, I think, really precious little turnover when you look at the totality of town government over many years. It just seems like we're in one of those periods where all the stars line up for a lot of people, and for whatever reason, I don't think there's any, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any consistency or any common thread in some of these departures, especially perhaps the more senior ones, other than the fact that it was time for those individuals, whether it's a retirement, whether it's a move to better his or her career, or anything in between. And I think the town has done a great job historically of, whenever possible, moving from within, filling from within, making transfers from within. Unfortunately, some roles, perhaps like the IT communications manager's role, that requires certain technical expertise, training, education, so forth. That's not an easy job to fill within. It would be rare, I would think, that we would have an internal candidate to be able to plug into that hole. And so I am sympathetic to the fact that these resources are probably few and far between, at least the qualified ones, especially if they're coming with municipal experience. So all that said, Tracy, we are at your disposal if and when you need us, other than meetings like this. So please bear that in mind.
Thank you.
So back to the original request, what you're looking for is subcommittee help, as I understand it, to look at a few job descriptions. One, the IT communications manager's role. The other, I think you said some roles in the library.
Mhm.
Okay, these are new job descriptions that have come, or
Revised job descriptions that
Revised,
the
okay.
head librarian has submitted for review.
Okay.
May
and
I
in
may I ask a clarifying question?
Sure, John, go ahead.
Tracy, when you ask for a reclassification of those several items, what are you looking for? Is it to help you in the ease of describing the job description, or to make it more encompassing so you can justify what some of these folks might be asking for salary?
All of the above. What we've done historically is as a position opens up, the majority of them have not been reclassified in many, many years. So we would typically take a look at the job description, as is the case in many instances, over a period of, 10, 15 years, additional responsibilities tend to pile on to the individuals. We're a very small operation. So if something needs to get done, if it's not necessarily part of someone's job, it tends to get parsed out. And so these things add up. And so we take the change in personnel as an opportunity to review the job description, update the job description, and then reapply the classification criteria to see if any kind of movement in our schedule is warranted. I will tell you, up until now, with all of the replacements that have gone on the last 2 years, I was able to work well within the existing classification structure. So it's still a very good and relevant tool. There have been, but more and more, there are a couple of instances where we do have to look at it to say, okay, is this really where it should be? And we use a lot of the Mass Municipal Human Resources data to complement our classification to make sure that we're still staying competitive with our wages. So.
Thank you, Tracy. And by the way, to the earlier point you made, I mean, we've seen that, I know, when we've classified or reclassified the roles. What seems to happen is that, as you mentioned, over time, people are either asked to or volunteer to take on additional responsibilities that aren't necessarily in the job description that was written 3 years ago, 5 years ago, in some cases 10 years ago. And so whenever there's a vacancy, or whenever you realize that, it is incumbent on both you as the town administrator and us as the HR board to make sure that those job descriptions are as current and as consistent as you want them to be as it relates to what people are actually doing on the job day to day. So anytime that there's a disconnect, if you will, between duties, responsibilities, and job description, it is important that we get them clarified, and then we let nature take its course. If as a result of that, a position needs to be reclassified, so be it. If not, it stays within the current classification range and we move forward. So that's been our consistent policy throughout. So with that in mind, Tracy, in terms of priority, I think you said earlier your preference would be to at least move on the subcommittee for the IT position first, and then if we can get to it shortly after that, the library positions.
Please, yes.
Okay, that's fine. I would ask for folks to consider their calendars. I'm certainly happy to sit on the subcommittee on the IT role, or both of them for that matter. I've got some flexibility, got a couple of commitments this week, but generally available. I'm sorry, you know what? Before we get there, I apologize. We never got back to Diane. You were collecting your thoughts, Diane. I'm sorry. So before we get scheduled, let me ask you to share your thinking.
Thank you. So the thing that I would add is I sat in on Thursday and Friday of last week, the Mass Municipal Association annual meeting trade show that they have usually at the Heinz Auditorium. And it was done this year virtually. So from 9 to 5, there were speakers and workshops and different events that you could attend virtually, which was really it was my first time. I haven't been to the actual event, but one of the things that they did talk about and they rolled out was an advertisement where they featured 4 different municipal employees talking about their job and basically using it as a tool to sort of solicit people to get more involved in working in municipal government. And I know that also through the Mass Collectors and Treasurers Association, they've taken steps to really entice younger people to get involved. So I'm wondering if, if just municipal government in general has also felt, a loss of people joining that type of work. And the other thing that I would add is that we have had a couple of instances where we have been, to Tracy's credit, we've had very good planned, or a couple of situations where we've planned for succession. So it just seems like just Tracy and I mean, we look at the number of people that we've onboarded in the last 3 months, it's been a lot of people. So I think just, again, the specificity of the IT manager role, coupled with government, municipal work, coupled with, just COVID in general. I mean, there's just so many different factors playing into some of these things. It's compounded it.
Right.
So,
point.
but it was interesting that they had they rolled out, it was basically a commercial that they're planning on using, to try to, people speaking about working for municipal government, and it's more than just a job and a salary. It's, working within your community and a dedication to the work that you do. So I think that's part of it as well.
That it brings to mind some things that we used to do in my organization years ago, and it can be described as a little self-serving, but it might be interesting to think about the possibility of and you can certainly embed it in a website, I would think, somewhere, is to have a little, maybe a group of a half a dozen, 15 to 30-second testimonials from people who have been in the employment of the town of Newbury for some period of time, just simply talking about why they enjoy it. What makes them feel good about working for the town, giving back to the town, if they're residents, of course. They don't have to be, but that's something maybe to think about in the future as a recruitment tool, for lack of a better term. Always having something on our website that talks about, why it's enjoyable for people to come to work in Newbury. So food for thought.
right.
Thank you, Diane. By the way, one last thing before we get to scheduling. Tracy, you mentioned about the advertising before, and you mentioned the Beacon being the publication. Is that connected to MMA? Because I know that you've also, don't you also post on the MMA? Do they have a job board or a bulletin board or something like that? Or is that what you refer to with the Beacon?
That is, the Beacon is their publication, but it's through the Massachusetts Municipal Association.
Okay, got it.
That is,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, so you feel like you're generally covered with the different opportunities you have to advertise any position that's out there.
Yes.
You're fair to
We
say you get
also advertise in-house. I don't know if I said that, but that's where we start, is internal.
in-house, meaning a bulletin board,
Posting
website,
and
that
all
kind
the
of stuff?
bulletin boards and
Yeah.
our website, town's
Okay.
website.
Although
we advertise.
Although the bulletin boards probably aren't seen very often these days.
Not right now.
Okay. Okay, we have to keep in John's good graces as it relates to office safety. So, okay. So with that in mind, let me ask, typically, the subcommittee has consisted of Diane, John Ferrara, Tony Antico, and myself. Chief Lucy, as always, you're happy to join us. I know that your schedule these days is jammed, but I'll leave that option open to you. But I know we need at least the four of us for quorum purposes. So let me start with you, Diane. Do you have availability this week generally? Well, why don't I just ask everyone real quick to look at their calendars just to see if this week's even a possibility, and then we can save some time here. So bear with me as I look through mine.
So, yeah, and
8
Tracy,
hours posting too, so.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Is it? Yeah. What is it for the subcommittee? Is it the same? Is
Same,
it 48 hours posting?
48 hours, yep.
So that would require us to schedule this no earlier than 4:30 on Wednesday. Is that right? Either late Wednesday or sometime on Thursday or Friday. Is that correct?
I'm confused. Hold on just a second. So
Yeah.
this is a classification
Subcommittee,
subcommittee.
right?
So we've never posted the subcommittee, the classification. When we've
Yeah,
done,
this is
You
similar
have,
to what we did, similar to what we've done
okay,
with the most recent subcommittee meetings. It is required that we post accordingly.
okay.
And so it is a 48-hour, I think you said. Is that right?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so bearing that in mind, so practically speaking, we're talking about probably Thursday or Friday. So let me start with you, Diane. Do you have availability either Thursday or Friday?
I can do Thursday all day. I can do Friday anytime after 10.
Friday after 10, Thursday all day. Thank you. John Ferrara, do you have any availability?
Thursday, I'm booked solid through 2 o'clock. I'd say Friday I could do as Diane after 9. Friday morning
After-
would be the easier for me.
Okay, but you have some availability after 2 o'clock on Thursday.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Tony?
The 28th would be fine, Thursday and Friday as well.
Okay. I've got commitments mid to late morning on Thursday, a free Thursday afternoon and Friday morning. Tracy, how about you?
Thursday afternoon, I'm completely clear, and Friday morning, I have a meeting at 8. We'll probably be wrapped up by 9:30 or so.
Okay, so it sounds like everyone has availability Thursday afternoon, although John Ferrara, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said your preference was to do Friday.
Yeah, only in that I'm booked solid with Boston medical meetings right through
Okay,
2 o'clock. And
Yeah.
it would,
Well,
I'd
we
have
wanna
to be remote. I'd have to go find because if I get in the car, then I can't do any Zoom work.
yeah, no, we want to account for any spillover you might have in terms of issues you're dealing with up till then. So I would recommend we look to Friday. And I think, Diane, correct me, you said anytime after 10 a.m. works for you?
Yes.
Okay, let me throw out Friday at 11 a.m. as a possibility. And I'll ask down the line, Diane, Friday 11,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
John Ferrara,
Good, yep.
Tony,
That's fine.
okay, Chief Lucy, I'll throw the option open if you'd like to join us as well. If not, we certainly have a quorum.
Yeah, no, that'll be fine. This week I'm gonna be doing nothing but the building, so.
Okay, understood.
Yeah,
All
thank you.
right, so let's book it. Let's put on our calendars for subcommittee. January the 29th, Friday at 11 a.m. Good?
Yes.
And these subcommittee meetings typically take, 45 minutes to an hour to go through the classification. We have 8 or 9 different factors I think we work with, and so please bear that in mind. Typically, if we're efficient with our time, we can wrap up within that hour. And I will ask folks, I guess collectively here, do we want to think about scheduling the second subcommittee, which will be for the library positions sometime perhaps the following week while we're on the subject, rather than, kicking the can down the road here. I would ask, Diane, are you willing to look at the following week for that?
Yes, so I am,
Well, before we get to that, let me just ask if everybody is available. Tracy, the following week, you generally around? People in town that week? Or
I am available with the exception of Tuesday. Tuesday, I've got some budget hearings. Tuesday's not good. Otherwise, I'm very flexible right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you say Monday? I'm sorry, wait a minute.
Tuesday's the second.
Second,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, that's the only day I can't do.
Okay, John Ferrara, you generally around
The
that
only,
week?
pretty open except for Wednesday and Thursday. Monday,
Okay.
Tuesday, and Friday look good.
Tony and Tico? You're muted, Tony. Tony, I think you're muted. There we go.
Okay, the only day that looks good for me is Friday the 5th.
The only day that looks good for you?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So let's turn to Friday the 5th
Oh,
then.
no, wait a minute. I stand corrected. I just saw a medical appointment at 11 a.m., which I hadn't. Also, we're going to be scheduling our vaccinations sometime during this week. We
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, okay, good luck with that.
Um,
So you'll book the entire week of the first.
Potentially, because if we don't get called in on the first, then they'll try for the second or third. I guess that's the way it works. I'm not sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand what you've said. You're hoping to get your
Vaccination
COVID.
first, that's the first day that we qualify. All right,
Okay.
but we're not familiar with the process. And they may say, well, we'll sign you up for Thursday, for when.
Yeah, okay.
So
Well,
it's
how about this then?
completely up in the air.
How about if I suggest this, with the understanding that you may have to bow out, why don't we try to schedule, if Monday the 1st is the day that works for everyone? I don't think I heard any no's on Monday. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's no one who cannot do double negative, the 1st, let me recommend we try to plug in a date there with the understanding that, Tony, if you have to bail out, we'll work around that as best we can. How's that?
All right.
All right, then let me go first to Diane, your availability on Monday the 1st?
Yes, did you pick a time?
No, we just wanted to figure out dates first. So
Yes,
what's good for you on Monday?
I'm here all day.
Okay, you're available. Tracy, how about you on Monday the 1st?
All day. I'm open.
John Ferrara, do you have preferences?
Pretty much all day.
Okay, and Tony, as of now, you're free.
Yes.
Okay, then what I might recommend is why don't we try to plug something in first thing in the morning?
So Mark, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
With respect to the library positions, wouldn't we want to see if the library director was available?
I was going to get to that. I wanted,
Okay.
while the 5 of us are here together, I wanted to go ahead and plug something in, and then with the understanding that someone will reach out to Jean to see if she's available as the manager to come in, because we would require her presence.
And I'm assuming that the reason why Tracy was in on the one for the 29th is because she would be the supervisor of,
Correct.
with the IT manager position.
That's correct. And
Okay.
as always, if Tracy would like to join us for the library position, she's certainly welcome to do so. Yep.
Sure.
So with that in mind, my recommendation would be to shoot for something, as early as comfortable for people Monday morning. That way, should Tony be called away for vaccination, or should something else come up, at least we can get people while they're fresh and, before their first additional commitment of the day. So let's talk about something like 8 or 8:30. Diane, would that work for you?
It works for me. I just would say with a caveat of checking in with Jean.
Sure. Yeah, understand. Yeah, whatever time we choose, we'll make sure that Jean's available as well. If not, we'll have to reschedule.
So Monday, the library is closed, but I can certainly check with her. I'm assuming she would make herself available for this. So
As the rest of us do that from a Zoom location. Okay, Tracy, that would work for you?
8:30 would be better if possible.
Okay. Would 9 make it easier?
No, 8:30 is fine.
Okay, John Ferrara,
8:30 is good.
Tony Antico?
Yeah, that'll be good. If I'm around.
Okay, let us put that in the book in pencil at least. This is on February the 1st at 8:30 a.m. And I will ask, would it be easier for Diane or Tracy, or if you'd like, I'm happy to reach out to Jean and ask if she is available at 8:30 on Monday the 1st to join us for the subcommittee?
happy to do that.
All right, Diane, if you wouldn't mind, thank you for that. And we will assume that that works unless you tell us otherwise. How's that?
Okay.
Maybe just a confirming email to the subcommittee, just confirming that. That way it'll help us as a reminder. So, okay, so we've got the 2 subcommittees in place. One is firm, which is the 29th for the IT position at 11 a.m. And the following Monday at 8:30, which is tentative, the subcommittee for the library positions to be confirmed once Diane talks with Jean.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Tracy, appreciate you.
Mark, I have
Yes,
a
sir.
question on this, the 29th, on the IT. Initially, the discussion was about creating or reviewing a job description. Now,
Right.
classification is not purely the job description. That is, it certainly includes it,
Correct.
but
Yeah, in terms
and-
of, in terms of sequencing, Tony, what will happen was that Tracy, if she hasn't already, will make whatever edits, whatever changes she feels are appropriate. If job description, Tracy, we would ask that you please, once that's done, get that job description to the members of the subcommittee in advance so that it'll save time that morning. People can mark it up accordingly, write down any questions they have, ask for clarification on whatever they choose to. And the same thing, of course, would apply to the library position. So once those job descriptions are in your mind or in Jean's mind done, complete, up to date, if you could send off those files to the members of the subcommittee for our reading in advance. Okay, Tony, does that answer your question?
I'm all set with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on the subcommittees and the classification reviews of both the IT and the library positions? Okay, with that in mind, nothing else on job vacancies? Let's move to the next agenda item, which is discrimination and/or ethics issues. I'm not aware of anything. Diane and/or Chief Lucy?
I am not aware of anything.
John, I think you were muted there.
Yeah, just the annual state
Oh.
mandate that already got out to everybody, so.
I'm sorry, John, what was that?
It's just the annual state mandate training. We have
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good reminder. Thank you. Everyone, I assume, got that email that I forwarded that came from Town Clerk Leslie Haley that it's time for our annual confirmation of receipt of materials and the ethics training. Tony, thank you for passing along your receipt of the materials already. And everyone, I would ask to please, if you haven't already done so, for being involved in town government, I would ask you to please do it as expeditiously as you can so that Leslie's got us all in the file.
What's going to Leslie is once you complete the course.
I think
Or-
separate things. I think one is the completion of the course and one is just the receipt of the materials, which requires a signature page. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. John, does that answer your question?
Well, I received the materials by in other words, the 14-page, give or take, but I didn't see a signature page requirement. I didn't
At the
see
very
that.
at the very bottom of it, John, it's there, but you can also send an emailed acknowledgement. You can just send her an email saying you have it and you acknowledge it, and that's it.
Okay,
Accept
sounds
that.
good.
Yep.
And I opened up the course this morning, and did I open up the right one? It's 98 pages.
That's the one.
That's it.
There was a mild confusion. Is it due right away, or is it that April date that's loaded in there?
I'm not aware of any time sensitivity. I think, the recommendation would always be sooner rather than later, but I'm not
Yes.
aware of a drop dead date or.
April 11th.
I thought it was the April 9th.
April 9th, that's it.
I think.
Yeah, it's a tidy project. Have a large cup of coffee ready when you start to wade through those. I haven't done it a few times now. It's actually, I actually enjoy going through it with the different scenarios, the what ifs, make sure I'm guessing properly what the right answer is.
I just had
So-
something else to mind.
Yeah. So with that said, okay, thank you.
That's a joke. That's a joke. Jeez.
Accepted in the spirit in which you offered it. Thank you. So no other discrimination and or ethics issues we're dealing with. Safety issues, Chief Lucy?
No.
Tracy, anything that we need to be aware of in terms of town facilities?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. The organizational chart is on our agenda for other business. I think I spoke briefly to Diane about this last week. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's your next managers meeting, Tracy's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Is that right?
I don't have my calendar up, but yes,
I think you said February 3rd.
third.
Okay. And at that point, there'll be hopefully fitted into the discussion, some communication to the managers that something we would like them to help us work through, to have each manager look at his or her own, department's page on the website, make whatever updates, edits, changes may be required. Chief Lucy, I know you said you were gonna hopefully work with the folks in terms of the ease with which we can get all that set up. You want to speak to that?
Not real. I mean, there's really nothing to offer on that. I mean, it's, I think it's as easy as quickly, disseminating a very, very boilerplate form, review it, anything that's been modified, just let the IT person know that.
Mhm.
It's usually the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
Would you have that form for the managers meeting?
When is that, Tracy? Has that been said? I haven't seen
I
anything.
think it's the 3rd of February.
I'll put that on my list.
Yeah, the 3rd.
Okay.
Yep, the ever-growing list. All set there?
I think so.
Is there any other new business that I'm not aware of that anyone would like to discuss? All right, then let me turn to confirming the timing of our next scheduled meeting, which is February the 22nd at 4 p.m. for the regular HR board meeting. I would ask everyone to please put that in their calendars. Any issues with that in terms of people's availability? February 22nd?
Nope.
Okay, and between now and then, we will have hopefully completed two reclassification or classification subcommittees to see where those positions may land in the system. Any other discussion before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Would someone like to make that motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Diane Doyle,
Yes.
John Ferrara,
Yes.
Tony Antico,
Yes.
John Lucy,
Yes.
and Mark Blackman, yes. And with that, we are adjourned. Look forward to seeing everyone those involved next Friday at, this Friday at the subcommittee meeting. I think it's 11 a.m. And Tracy, we'll look forward to getting that paperwork from you in advance, both the IT communications manager's role as well as the updated job descriptions for the library. Okay?
Yep.
And Diane will assume that you'll reach out to Jean and confirm that she's available for the following Monday.
I will. And
Okay.
I will also coordinate the Zoom information for the meeting. And
Great.
get it out to folks.
Thank you very much.
And get it posted.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, good night all. Thank
Hey,
you.
nice
Good to
seeing
see everyone.
Take
Good
care.
night.